All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me on a Saturday, wherever you are in the world. Appreciate it. And we are stuck with what we're stuck with here. So, this is our power hour. We're going to do a live one today. We got some bank collapses happening. USDC decided to, I don't know if I have USDC down here somewhere. Show that. Morning, Mike. Infestinator. Infestinator. That's an interesting one. George, what up, George? I don't have USDC up here. I thought I had. Let me add USDC up here. I thought I already had it. USDC, USD. There we go. Okay, this is the news of the day, and I thought I had it here. I don't know why I have US Tether twice. Must be two exchanges. Yeah, Kraken and Bittrex. Okay. So, dropping down to 82 USDC is, I thought it would be pretty darn interesting to take a look at this. I don't think it's as bad as people think, especially based on the fact that I was looking at this article over here, and they say that they have about 41 billion tokens and a market value of 37 billion, and they had a 3 billion exposure, 3.3 billion exposure. So that was weird. Okay, so maybe about 10% was exposed. So not good, but definitely not worth a 20% haircut. And now it's back up to more reasonable levels, up at 96. So the investors really took advantage of that. I don't know if we'll see those prices again. We will see. I'm not sure what other shoes are to drop. I was talking to George earlier in the Real Crypto Private Power Hour channel, and he said it was because they had a bunch of 10-year bonds. So could be a limited thing. It's probably not going to be systemic to crypto if that's the actual case. And, I should move this index chart up is probably what I should do. There we go. All right, so let's move on. We can talk about that. If anyone does have any more information on that whole USDC debacle, please share it. You should be able to post article links on here as long as it's within the 200 characters that YouTube allows. So please feel free to do so if you have any more information. But that's what I gathered. It's a bad event. I don't think it's a Luna-like event. Luna was a completely different thing. This is a supposedly regulated U.S. bank, and you have USDC, which only has less than 10% deposits in it. So I don't know how that's going to affect it. If 10% makes them insolvent, I don't know. But Tether's been pretty resilient. I'm assuming USDC could be even more resilient with the backing it has. So let's move on to BTC. We can take a look at some of the other things here going on in the crypto landscape other than the big news. So here's Bitcoin. Big news here is that Bitcoin actually is in a correction, and I think let's talk about I think I'm gonna keep my chart like this. I'm gonna keep the shorter term at the small window. We usually just go 50-50, but one of the things I do want to talk about today is this very large inverted head and shoulders forming on Bitcoin. I think this could be take a lot of people by surprise if they're not looking for it, because all the news all of this year and into last year has been so gloomy. I mean, no one's looking for anything good to happen. I mean, if someone says anything positive, they get beaten down, it seems. So usually the investment direction does not go with the consensus. And with everyone so doomy and gloomy and the market not really dropping, if you look at this chart, we've been chopping around this $19,000-$20,000 level since last June, July, something like that. When we first got down here. So we've been down here. We moved a little bit lower. We came back, went back and retested the high, and we've had this line down here. I don't know. So whenever Mike was talking about it, is when we kind of saw this potential. Hey, what's up, Omar? I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna coach my kids' soccer team later today. It's gonna be interesting. Hopefully fun. Hopefully that they listen. Yeah, so we identified this inverted head and shoulders pattern, and so far things are kind of working out. We do have a little bit of volume discrepancy here in the head. It should be lower than the left shoulder. The volume should be. It is not, but this right shoulder volume, if it stays on this path, so far is much lower. And if you know anything about an inverted head and shoulders, it's a reversal pattern. And so what it implies is that there's heavy selling pressure. You try to go down with less selling pressure, then you have a nice rally, and you try to go down, can't make a new low, and there's even less selling pressure. So it's a decreasing selling pressure situation. And even though there is volume here, and it's good volume, I mean, I don't want to glaze over the volume, which is why I'm mentioning it. We really couldn't get low. Like this is seems like a good ratio here. Everything here seems very normal. We do have a few other inverted head and shoulders on the charts. They're not as large of a stature as this one. We talked about this one. This one was new. I didn't identify this as an inverted head and shoulders at the time. We just identified it actually when we started pointing out these inverted head and shoulders. This one's pretty good though. This is the 4200 breakout right here. So this is the most recent low in 2018, and this is also an inverted head and shoulders pattern. Again, didn't identify it as such at the time, but it is what it is. And this one we did identify as inverted head and shoulders, also kind of ahead of time. And in this one, the volume signature is much better. So if there's any flaw in this one, and I hope it can be negated, the flaw is this volume right here. Crypto's had a lot of things that weren't supposed to work and vice versa. So willing to be a little bit wide and loose with it. With that much volume, you would assume he would have gone down dramatic. If you look at this drop here on the left shoulder, in no way, shape, or form did we get down to that level. So all this volume, how much of that was actually selling pressure? A lot of it could have been some buying pressure. And it obviously was because we didn't drop. So where'd that volume go? It went to the buyers. And so now we have a sell-off, which seems really bad. Everyone's really upset. But let's look at this bigger picture. We're still well off of these lows of 15,000. We're still up here at 20,000. Really, volume is not a major issue. Our size almost bottomed out. I think we're in a pretty decent spot. No, it doesn't feel that way. And it's hard to know, do you put money to work today? And actually, if you look at the 2-hour time frame, we were looking at this yesterday. I'm like, this ain't too bad. My volume aggregation tool was looking like this, something like this yesterday. Whenever it was. Oh, no, yesterday we were in the middle of this green candle. Yeah, and it looked like this. We were just poking up the green on the volume aggregation tool. And then look where it is now. You have a big swath of green coming in, actually completely swallowing up all of this selling pressure. A nice candle here at the close of the day yesterday. So overall, pretty good action down here so far. We're not seeing any major exits. It's not like when Luna tanked, which was one of these, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was this one. Maybe it was this one. I forget all the different bad shit that's happened in the past year. What was it? We had there was something before Luna, and then there was Luna. And then what else? I don't know. It really wasn't much after Luna. Just kind of a bunch of garbage until we had this most recent run. Luna was May. Okay, so this is the first one here was Luna. Okay, what was the second one then? There were two events that kind of back-to-backed. I do not remember what was after Luna. Luna was crazy, but I don't remember what the other one was. I think this was just a sell-off. I don't think that was news-related. I could be wrong, though. Worst CPIs ever printed? Was it? What's up, Pedro? Let me see your comment here, George. Similarly, in the market top, everyone was looking for bullish news, but these news would not propel the market higher because there was no more buyers to fuel. I think there's not many sellers left now. Yeah, definitely. 3 Arrows Capital, Aaron. There you go. Thank you, bud. I think that's it. Yeah, we had. There was a bunch of different crypto firms, and the funny thing about that too was that they weren't really that big. I'm like, they were big firms, but I mean, crypto is so much bigger than just a couple of firms. Like, everyone freaks out when someone goes bankrupt. It's like, who cares? Sucks for those involved, but for everybody else, for the market as a whole, market just keeps chugging along. There's still another candle to come up. So when they start freaking out, but I mean, this is a good example of a potential freak out. But where's the freak out? You look at, in relation, I mean, it's a non-issue. Like, no one cares. Everyone that's already sold with Luna, sold with 3 Arrows Capital, as Anthony pointed out. So maybe, just maybe, most of these sellers are gone at this point, and all this buying pressure, all this volume was buying pressure. And if that is the case, let's see if I can get more like a more normal volume look in here. So there you go. hit there, hit there. I do have to give this up, like I mentioned, not ideal, but this does look like an inverted head and shoulders. And your horizontal neckline is going to bring in some additional people if, once it does, and if it does bottom out and then curl back up, it'll bring those buyers back in with a big horizontal like this. This will bring a lot of buyers in. The other possibility is we start just moving into normal channel bullshit. So we get down here. Yes, we undercut here, but maybe we come down and maybe we just start to channel for a while. But we do have the undercut, whatever that looks like. We do have the undercut. Really makes it look like an inverted head and shoulders, but again, the volume makes it a little bit suspect. But right now, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. If we have a good bottoming signal, something really good. And this one's not bad. This, with this increased buying pressure here on the 2-hour time frame, I'm not really mad at this as a potential entry. We can bottom anywhere from here all the way down to this line at 17.5. So that's a pretty big range. I think you want to be careful about, if you enter, I don't think you enter your full position size. I think the further down you are, the bigger of your position size you can take, just from a risk standpoint. And when you're trading, it should always be from a risk standpoint. It's always a risk first situation because it's a risky endeavor. So that's about a 5% stop loss on that one. But again, you're not buying off a major signal. I mean, your better signal probably would have been yesterday, probably during the show when I was recording the show yesterday, off of this big candle right there. That would have been the good one. And you did have some other signs here. As I mentioned yesterday. During the video, you got all this buying pressure right here. Even as the price goes down, all those closes are higher, so they're eating that. And much like this, you had a lot of volume with not a lot of downside pressure, which leads to the volume aggregation tool going up. Hold on a second. Ooh, throat was fighting me there. Need to get some water. Daily candle looked good yesterday. Oh, Laughlin missed your thing there. I think we have already begun creating the structure for the next big run. It is just a few buyers and sellers who have left fighting each other now. Yeah, maybe. Again, I do like the structure. It is a reversal structure too. Daily candle was good yesterday. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Even on this index chart, it's a little hammer candle on big volume. Yeah, I didn't point that out in my newsletter or anything, but because usually these candles. I mean, look at this candle. This is the Binance chart, which I've been using. I'm switching to the index chart, I think, as of today. The Binance chart's just too all over the place with the volume. Like, how am I supposed to deal with all this garbage? Like, how do I deal with average increasing volume and try to get a good read on anything? I can't do it anymore. So our experiment was actually because most of you guys aren't in the power hour. So we had an experiment. So we have our follow-through day system, and our follow-through day system on the index chart gave us a correction day way up here, well up here. And then the Binance chart gave us a correction 2 days ago. So much larger difference. And I went with the index chart read and on my newsletter, I call it the market's in a correction or in an uptrend. I'm like, let's see how it goes. I'm going to call it with the index charts. The first time I've done that. And it ended up working that the index chart won. I was like, let's see which one wins. And then the Binance went into correction, like I said, a couple of days ago. So, hey, what's up, Aram? So I think I'm sticking with this index chart for the foreseeable future. But to Mike's point, yesterday was a pretty darn good day. We talked about looking for bottoming signals potentially, and that is a good one. Hammer candles like that by themselves can be buying signals. So if somebody bought yesterday, I'm really not mad at them, and you're really not even that far away from them today. But again, the whole point is managing your risk. You're about 1% away from the close yesterday. I guess I could have just looked at that number if I were smart. Hit the 200-day. Oh, yeah, I don't have my moving averages up here today. Bam, hit the 200-day. And that thing is flat right now. Look at that. That's crazy. Very, very flat 200-day. Middle of the weekly Bollinger Band. You make me pull up a weekly chart, Mike. My gosh, man. My gosh. Yeah, we got resistance at the 200 on the weekly. Make me pull up Bollinger Bands on a weekly. Yeah. That's actually not a bad look. That's actually not a bad look because look, we broke up out of here if on really good volume. If you're taking this weekly chart, just taking the weekly chart, right? Tight Bollinger Bands. You drop, you don't go anywhere. You pop back up through the middle. You test the high. You retest the middle. So I mean, technically, we should be, choppy up and then hopefully a breakout at some point. Here you can probably see that inverted head and shoulders, maybe a little bit more clear. Shoulder, head, and then maybe we're forming the shoulder. Yeah, baskets of traders. Yep. Yeah, I remember the discussion. Yeah. What's happening with KuCoin? Anyone know anything? No. Is something happening with KuCoin? I don't know. Or are you just asking generally? New York attorney alleges Ether is a security in KuCoin lawsuit. New York sues KuCoin, expands cryptocurrency crackdown. Huh. Interesting. If you're in New York and use KuCoin, look for alternatives for now. Yeah, see, the funny thing is New York is a local, the New York attorney is a local authority. They only deal with New York. The problem New York's so damn big and important, especially when it comes to financial stuff, it does affect everybody else for the most part. So yeah, that's a 1 day ago. That's a new development. I guess they got sued. Why? Something else going on there? What's up, Ethan? Come here. You can ask your question. Come on. I don't know. Mommy's up. I have no idea, bud. Use your find me on your phone. Um. Okay, so that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about that. Oh, that's where the ETH as a security thing came into play. Gotcha. Well, ETH kind of is a security when you think about it. I mean, a security gives you ownership in something, the potential to earn dividends, um, and you kind of do both with Ethereum. I mean, it's not super cut and dry, but they can make a case for it. I mean, crypto needs to be regulated. It just needs to be common sense shit. I don't think they need to call it a security. There could be a different asset class with a different set of rules. You know. So, but yeah. So on this weekly Bitcoin chart, not a huge fan of living under the 200-day. And but also we don't really use the weekly 200. It's such a long time frame, and this is the first time it's ever even undercut it. But that goes right along with those conversations we've had about this Bitcoin going up and the price decreasing as it goes up. Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, that's the arc I was gonna draw. Oh, that's funny. What is this? The index chart. I guess I was just zoomed in on it. So, but yeah, in crypto's, probably not going to have another parabolic move that exceeds this, likely. I mean, I'm just guessing off the top of my head. At some point, this arc isn't going to, I mean, it already didn't work out on this last one. We didn't quite get up to the top of the arc. For whatever this arc is worth, I just drew it. It's nothing crazy. A lot of charts say 92 cents for USDC, but 95 is correct. Who knows? It depends on your exchange, Loopy. It really just depends on your exchange. The only time that comes into play is if you're actively buying or selling. And that's when the prices really matter. Other than that, I mean, it's about a 3% difference, but you can't capture it unless you're on the other exchange anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The point is, it's not 81 cents anymore. It was down there briefly. So, yeah, inverted head and shoulders. I mean, I think the market's in a good situation down here, especially with everyone talking so much garbage about it. I think it's good. I got no issue with it. Let's look at Ichimoku. Ichimoku. I butchered that one, didn't I? Oh, look at that. Your range here is starting to narrow a little bit on the weekly. Let's go back to the daily and see what Ichi says on the daily. I forget what it said last week. All right, last week we were flirting with the top. Now we came to the bottom. Kind of got supported. Maybe got supported. Yesterday we closed underneath of it, but that was our bullish hammer candle day. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the question, someone stated up earlier, I read it. Yeah, it's George here. If it does not go lower, will the inverse head and shoulders be invalidated or 19.6 still works? No, I mean, I think this could work for an inverted head and shoulders right here. That's why I said earlier. I think from here all the way down to here, technically down to the head, but from here all the way down to here is kind of looking for buying signatures. I think that's what you're looking at. And this is a good potential. To Mike's point about the daily close, it looks really good. Look at that volume. It's the biggest volume going all the way back here since we really stopped rocketing higher after our last up move here. So that's an impressive day. Very impressive. You have the selling pressure here, but even more buying pressure as we really didn't go much lower. And bringing the 2-hour chart into it again. You can see, and we talked about this. You can talk about the volume aggregation tool. Look at the selling pressure. It's just flat. It's actually drooping a little bit right now. Hopefully it gets a little bit less aggressive. And then buying pressure right now into the weekend is lightening, which I guess makes sense. So we could see a continuation. If we don't get back to this 19.6 level, that would be bullish, really bullish, I think. But we could chop around for a while. I mean, if you look at this inverted head and shoulders, it's a big one. This is not a little inverted head and shoulders. This goes all the way back to June. So we're 9 months into this inverted head and shoulders pattern. That's a really, really big pattern. And it usually doesn't just, it doesn't just one candle go in a breakout. It's possible, but I don't think it's likely in this environment. Usually, you'll usually kind of mimic the left shoulder. Let's go look at these other ones that we highlighted. So these are the other ones. Here's this one that was shorter. This one gave it a couple of days before it rallied through. And this is one that didn't get down to the level of the left shoulder. And the left shoulder was really close to the head. This one did rally relatively quickly, but this one was only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just call it like 6 days, 5 or 6 days in the low. And this one rallied within 2 or 3 days, so a little bit less. And you know what? I guess it makes a little bit of sense if it rallies faster, if it's bullish. Let's see about this one. And this one's a weird one. Obviously, it's not very symmetrical, but you do have, this one's lower than the left shoulder, this right shoulder lower than the left shoulder, and very exaggerated in between the head and the shoulder, which is not typical. This is definitely an atypical inverted head and shoulders pattern. So, there's no clear-cut rule necessarily about, what exactly where your bottom has to be. It doesn't, there are no rules on that one, just to be clear. The good book doesn't say anything. IBD doesn't even have any rules about inverted head and shoulders, but everything I've read about the inverted head and shoulders, someone said they can go all the way down to the head and still be valid. So this is, a lot of art and a little bit of science. So it's really, really, but if you look at this one, if you're really looking for entries, like that could have been an entry, which is really close to the neckline. If you want to get more aggressive, you could try to take all these lows down here and get really aggressive. And look at that very beautiful breakout day right there from that one. The chat on my screen deleted the stablecoin website, guessing it was the domain that got filtered out. Huh. I don't know. Well, it can only do 200 characters, so. Do you think Bitcoin is holding up so well because people are swapping their USDC into BTC? Brian, to address that question directly, we've kind of been discussing it. So what we're talking about is a much larger inverted head and shoulders pattern, and that implies that there's not a lot of sellers left. So it may have nothing to do, sometimes when you're in these situations in a potential market bottom, it has less to do with the thing you're looking at and more to do with the fact there's nobody left. Like George said it well earlier, there's nobody left to sell. Like the people that wanted to sell have sold, and the people that, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. They don't have as much cryptocurrency left. So they're really not, those people are selling thinking they're being prudent, or maybe they are moving into BTC or whatever the case may be. But, if you look at the, sorry, I got distracted here. If you look at the volumes, there's not a lot of volume. So that's kind of the topic of our discussion here today. Weird that the chat. Curious to hear your thoughts on my chart. What you got, Omar? Are you in Slack? If you're in Slack, Omar, you can post it in Slack. I can pull it up. Well, showing the red market wide, there appears to be plenty. What do you mean by red market wide? Oh, market wide. Okay, yeah, all the selling across the market. Yeah, so there's one when you see that, and that's a good point. Yeah, it's hard sometimes to differentiate. I'm gonna timestamp this. It's sometimes hard to differentiate what the market is doing and whether it's like good action or bad action. And volume is a great way to kind of ascertain that. So this actually goes into something we did yesterday, or the day before in the show. Again, look at the volume here. It's increased, but just a little bit. It's not it's not dramatic. And yesterday was a hammer candle to boot. So there's not a lot of selling pressure. And like we mentioned earlier, Brian, you must have missed it, but this was Luna here. This was Three Arrows Capital going down, right? And if this is, which I don't think USDC is going down, we addressed this at the top of the show. USDC has about $41 billion or $37 billion in assets, right? And they only had a 3.3 billion exposure to this bank. So it's not good, but it's not calamitous. It's probably not going to tank the industry. And the smart people realize that, and they don't overreact to the situations. Those are the guys that bought USDC back down at 81 cents. Scooped up as much as they could get with as much leverage as they could get. I mean, look at this volume. This is on Gemini, it looks like. So tons and tons of volume stepping in here. Like, where's the risk? You know what I mean? It's a market overreaction. March 9th, total loss 50 billion, so perhaps the worst is over for now. Yeah. So then we go back to BTC. We're up 1.32% right now. Yeah. So, this could be this is the beginning of the look of an inverted head and shoulders, and it's interesting it's coming to pass. We actually do a pretty darn good job of calling inverted head and shoulders, don't we? That's funny. I think it's pretty funny. They don't always work out, but at least they form. You know what I mean? All right, what you got? Let's check it out. Omar's got a chart. Let's look at Omar's chart. I can't stay super late today. We're already 27 minutes in. I do have the full power hour to do. So, and I forgot to delete the space. Let's check out Omar's chart. That is a chart, Omar. Good job. Cool. Let's check it out. 300 and some odd days, 300 some odd. Okay, so you're going between here. What are these down here? This looks fancy. Looks like you have some type of an oscillator. I'm not sure. Oh, this is cool. View only mode. Okay. All right. I'm just checking out the chart. It looks pretty neat. I don't have my normal tools to, delineate what's what. What's all the stuff down here? So you got this. You got the kind of like overbought, oversold, I guess, and then you have where the light blue took over the dark blue, I guess, and then here's where it crosses the low, and then what's this one where it goes underneath? So that's a sell signal, I guess, or something. Oscillators, stochastic RSI. Okay. All right, so 366 days, and you've got start bull running. Yeah, so the bull run starting is definitely an interesting one. Yeah. Yeah, we had a chart similar to this not too long ago. We posted one with a similar graph, but only on the top side here. How do you derive price action? Just curious on that one. Or is that a stock indicator? Did you build that one? Okay, so let's check this thing out. So we got starting bull run here, and you're saying we're just starting the bull run? Yeah, crossing the trend line, which we just did a couple of, I guess, last month. Hold on a second. Okay. This one undercut it a little bit. That's what I was looking for. Do we have another one that kind of undercuts a little bit? You're pulling it. Looks like some type of an Elliott wave or something. Yeah, some Elliott wave type of situation. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any issue with any of it in terms of your Elliott waves thing going on here. Maybe one's more possible. I don't know about the retest. That would be very scary. I would assume the retest because again, we're talking about inverted head and shoulders. Did you send me a message, Aram? Oh, yeah, about your wallet. I saw that. I don't actually have any hard wallets. I use paper wallets for all that, for my long-term holdings at least. So I've got Ethereum and Bitcoin paper wallets. They're literally paper. They're sitting over there. Hope the house doesn't burn down. Yeah. Sorry, Rome. I saw your message. I forgot about it. I've been super busy trying to freaking still manage my life with all my new stuff going on. Um, yeah, I mean, in my assumption, I would assume here, Omar, will probably chop around here, then move up. I don't mind your one. Maybe we'll come back down to here and bounce. That would be more bullish, I think. That would be more bullish if we were to bounce off of this level. And again, we're all forecasting, so we're all stupid. But I guess you have to do that anyways to have some type of a thing of what you can I not delete in this chart. Okay, there we go. There we go. Um, yeah, I think I don't know. I think with this inverted head and shoulders, I do think that we move up. I like your scenario here in the darker pink versus the lighter. I think this is probably a pretty good scenario. Just with everyone going. I mean, it makes sense, macroeconomically too. And we'll see what we get after we get up there. It's what's my saying? I haven't said it in so long, so I don't post to public videos pretty much at all anymore. Um, one leg at a time with the market cycle in mind, and that's pretty much all you can do, I think. So, market cycle now is coming down from a bearish. We're forming this bottoming pattern, and next leg technically should at least attempt to go up. So, yeah, I'm not mad at it. I think it's pretty good chart. All right, let's go down the top 20. Yep. We don't repeat, but we often rhyme. Absolutely. All right, let's go down top 20. And starting with Ethereum, and the next one is a surprise, very surprise coin doing as good as it's doing. But first up is Ethereum, which doesn't really have an inverted head and shoulders. I guess shoulder, head, shoulder, but not really. We're already in a down, I don't know. It's not as good as BTC. ETH is definitely lagging BTC this time around. Again, yesterday with a nice bullish candle here. That is a ton of volume on Binance. Wow. There's Coinbase. There's the index chart. So, yeah, better volume yesterday too on Ethereum. So if Bitcoin is going to bottom, Ethereum will very likely follow. I don't think ETH's going to lead. At least it's not showing in the charts. All right, next up after that is Hex. And Hex is surprisingly getting a huge rally through today. This is via wrapped Ethereum. This is versus USDC. Oh, maybe that's why it's up so much as versus USDC. I didn't notice it was versus USDC. Let's see if they have Hex USDT. That's here. Let's try Poloniex. Okay, so that's not as bullish. That makes more sense. Okay, but it's still up a little bit. I didn't know. Yeah, I guess they were just. My thought here though was that, and this is versus USDC, so these were trades. Using it as a hedge, as something that's not going to fail. Hex. I mean, it's very volatile, but it's unlikely to fail in terms of bank assets and stuff like that, which is really weird because Hex is, by all definitions, been pretty darn speculative. But I thought that was interesting for sure. 16% up for 24%, excuse me, almost 25% for Hex versus USDC. So definitely they're just shifting money around to all kinds of coins, at least on Uniswap. Maybe this is just where some liquidity was they were hunting. I don't know. What you got there, Loopy? Volume is people using Uniswap to swap USDC. Yeah, exactly. For ETH. Throughout Bitcoin's history, it's existed in a period of expansion monetary supply. I wonder how much weight to place on the past. Okay, so now you're talking about like fundamental BTC shit. I'm going to timestamp this because now you're going to get me going on a little bit of a randy rant here. Little bit of a rant. Not too bad because I don't have a ton of time. The halving is one thing, that's math, but with its relationship to the dollar, I wonder. So when it comes to BTC and all this macro bullshit talk, okay, I'm just going to call it bullshit talk. Bitcoin's just Bitcoin, okay? If Bitcoin was ever going to flourish, it would be in March of 2020. This is Bitcoin flourishing for you. That day right there. So Bitcoin's just another asset in the world. It's not, and I like Bitcoin, but it's not that special. It doesn't change the paradigm of anything. At least not yet. I mean, I guess in the future, maybe something could dramatically shift. But Bitcoin is just becoming half-ass mainstream. No one even uses it as its intended purpose. Nobody uses it to buy anything with. It's a risk asset. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. And this day proves that. Okay? And then, Bitcoin came back with everything else. So if you want to call that inflationary, if you want to say this has something to do with the Fed printing a bunch of money and it going into Bitcoin, yeah, I guess I could see that. But the stock market did the same damn thing. Stock market dropped and then went on a crazy ass run too. So it's just another asset class. If you're asking how Bitcoin is going to behave in the, over the next 5 years of whatever economic policy, it doesn't matter. Because number one, you don't know what the economic policy is going to be. And then number two, because all of Bitcoin's history, in fact, the world's history for the past 20 years has been in an inflationary environment with lower interest rates. So you can have this conversation for everything. Apple, you could have the conversation for Nvidia, you could have the conversation for Disney, you could have the conversation for gold. I mean, it's an impossible conversation to have. Absolutely impossible. Just talk to all the gold bugs that, didn't have their thing go up 1,000,000,000% during 2020. It's the whole view every asset like this. And this is where people get shit twisted. Hey, what's up, Ted? This is where people get shit twisted. People try to outsmart just greed. And I'm not using greed as, like a horrible term, but Wall Street is pure greed. 100%. All they do is try to make a profit. And making a profit's not a bad thing, but that's their only parameter. And it's only for the foreseeable future. So if you see a risk across the entire market segment, they're not going to run to Bitcoin. It's absolutely not going to happen. And once again, let me show you some proof right here. You know what I mean? They're not going to run to anything. They didn't run to gold. They didn't run to silver. You didn't see a massive spike in gold going up 1,000,000,000%. That never happened. Bitcoin didn't spike up. Everything sells off. Everyone goes to cash. You know what sold off? You know what spiked? Here, let me show you real quick. Where is my chart of the U.S. frickin' dollar? It's in stonks. You want to see the spike? It's right here. U.S. dollar spiked. That's what spiked. Everybody flocked to the dollar. So, what's going to go up it'd be the dollar, to answer your question directly. It wouldn't be Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a risk asset. It's very volatile. You don't go into something volatile is a safe bet. You go into something stable. And what's more stable than the US dollar? Nothing. What can you buy? Like if you were to go into Bitcoin, it would rally the price of Bitcoin 40% in a day because it's a smaller market cap. It's a smaller market cap thing. US dollar has damn near infinite supply. If you want to go on the if you want to go hide $100 billion, you're going to go to the dollar. That's it. You're just going to go to the currency market or whatever, wherever you go. Actually, if you have $100 billion, you're going to go to 50 different markets because you have a team running that stuff. And you're going to buy US dollars. You're going to sell your gold. Anthony mentions gold. But yeah, gold didn't rally. Gold didn't really rally either. I got GLD right here. Like it's okay. Let's take a look at let's highlight March 2020. Okay, and so this is gold during the pandemic. Did rally a little bit, I'll give you that, but you know, hasn't done anything. And then if you overlay the S&P 500 on top of that, yep, there's the start of the pandemic in March, right? You overlay the pandemic on top of that, and gold underperformed. So, you know, just go with the charts. Quit thinking so damn much. We're not that smart, people. None of us are that smart. You know what? My local guy on the radio said it best. Said it best yesterday. He was talking about, what was the topic? He was talking about, it was like the 3rd anniversary of COVID was coming up. And he said, you know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of the people on the left blaming the people on the right and the people on the right blaming the people on the left. He's like, Trump did a shit job, and we live in Arizona. Our governor's Doug Ducey. He goes, Ducey did a shit job. Fauci did a shit job. Who got COVID? Nobody. He said nobody got COVID right. So who cares? So quit talking about any of them. And I'm like, you know what? 100% right. Quit talking about any of them, because all those people's opinions were wrong. All of them. All of them didn't get it right, because you know where the hardest place to live? Here's the hardest place to live. Right here. What do you do with this information right here? You know what? I bought this book, and I didn't get a chance to read it much this week. But I think it's very poignant, and it's called Thinking in Bets. It's a poker player who wrote this book about just your every daily's life decision, thinking in bets. So she's a professional poker player, and now she does like coaching and stuff like that for executives. And she thinks of everything in terms of bets. I'm not going to go too deep into it. But if you want to read, it's $15 for the paperback. Go get it. It's pretty good so far. I like it. I want to read more of it, but I got kids and shit. But it's about thinking in bets. Like when you're a poker player and you have an opinion, and just like us with crypto, you have to put a monetary value on that, on your certainty of that decision. And so all your biases that you have in your life, determine how much you bet. So if you were, let's use COVID because we just talked about it. If you were super scared about the pandemic and your mom died and your grandma died, you masked up, you got all the vaccines because your bias, your experience was that COVID was very deadly. And that was your belief at that time. So you're like, okay, well, it's very risky for me to go in the world with without these protections. Okay. But if you're in Arizona, and Arizona actually had more deaths per capita than anywhere in the country because our governor didn't mandate all that stuff. That's another topic of conversation. But if you're in Arizona, and this was me, I didn't have a lot of, people around me exposed to COVID early on, like nobody. So if you're like me, you're like, not that bad, I'm gonna go out without a mask every once in a while. Oh, I forgot my mask. I'm still going into the store. You know what I mean? So thinking in bets, it's about what is your belief? What is your belief system? And how right is it? And so when you come back to, hey, do I buy gold or do I buy the S&P when the market goes up? Or if you're Jay Powell or all these other people, they're working on the right side of the chart. The hardest place to work on is the right side of the chart. Everyone focuses in the middle of the chart. It's very hard to shift your focus here and make good decisions. It's really hard to make really, really good decisions. You can only do it with this information. You have to have all this background information. And with COVID, we didn't have any background information, which is why everybody made a bad choice. You can look at hindsight and say, and I don't know about this 100%, but New Zealand, who shut the fuck down like day one, I think, ended up with no COVID cases and did pretty good. From my understanding, I think later on they unlocked and got some COVID, obviously, but so was that the right move? You know, did everyone else have it wrong by not 100% locking down? It's also a small country, so it's not a good test. But you get my point. My point is that, you know, who did it right? Well, COVID was going around the world anyways. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so when you talk about, you know, fundamental BTC price and monetary supply and what to do and what are possible futures, like you're dealing with this chart, you have no information. So it's it's a good academic conversation, and I think it should be had. I definitely think, you know, talking about it is good, but to put money at risk, like how much do you bet on that decision? That's the real question, because none of it matters until you put your bet down. None of it. So that's kind of my opinion on that. So you just look at the charts, because the charts will tell you. If you want to look at like your top assets, so you're going to be talking about equities. I thought I was writing equities. I have my caps lock on. You're looking at equities, you're looking at BTC, you're looking at gold, you're looking at just US dollar. Those are your top asset choices for anything, any environment. You know what I mean? Just, do you buy stocks, whether it be in the US or otherwise? Do you buy Bitcoin? Do you buy gold? Do you buy dollars? You could maybe add bonds onto here. Obviously, no one's buying bonds right now. So, and the chart will show you 100%. The chart will show you. If your bias leads you to gold, then you use the gold chart. If you don't like what you see on the gold chart, go to another chart that you like, which could be the BTC chart. Go to the BTC chart. If you don't like that chart, go to the equities chart. If you like the equities chart, go there. That's pretty much how it goes, because the charts are the only information that matter. And this goes fundamentally back to this goes fundamentally back to like the news conversation is what matters. Well, the only information that matters is the information that's really on the charts, because that's people actually putting money to work. You know what I mean? All these talking heads, all the news articles, all the people on Twitter and Reddit, you know, they have their opinion. But if you want to see what the market thinks, you don't have to. You're looking at it. It's easy. There's nowhere else you even need to go. You know, like you need to know what's happening with the Federal Reserve. You need to know what's happening with COVID. You need to know what's happening. But how does the market react to that is the most important thing. And it's the only thing that matters. Period. There's nothing else that matters. Is how is the market reacting? Because, you know, the Twitter guy's not going to try to pay off your house, but the market could. If you work the market right, it could try to pay off your house. You know what I mean? So, hate to be Jay Powell. His job right now is literally destroy people financially to bring down inflation. Yeah. I think he's done a pretty good job so far. We'll see about this next leg. Maybe he wasn't aggressive enough. I don't know. They obviously still see some things. All right. I got to get on with the show, y'all. Mike says Sweden did it right. What did Sweden do? What did they do? I don't know. All right. I got to get on with the get on. There's not a lot to talk about, so we should have a little bit of time after I get through these. Let me get through all my charts, though. We'll go through the top 20s. I think I have 3. I have two coins outside of the top 20. Caspa and Elf, for whatever that's worth. Let me write those down. I didn't write them down. Okay, Caspa and Elf. Those are the only other ones we're going to look at. But most everything is kind of garbage to the point. Which points, Ted? Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit more, Ted, and I can address it? No certainty in life, it's just your mindset. Yeah, your mindset's important, and when it comes to trading, your mindset should be very neutral, and it should be listening to what you see in the charts and trying to improve your read on the charts. It's really what you got to do. No, I know. I know the context of his comment, Loopy and Mike, but I didn't know what they did right. So, if you have any context to what they did right with COVID, definitely happy to hear that. And then, yeah, we should all go talk to the UN directly after this live stream to let natural selection work. Well, that's a different topic, George, because we don't humans don't like natural selection. Let's be very clear about that. We want to control everything, and we don't want anything natural. We want to live in spaceships in space where there is nothing natural at all about us being there. So we don't care at all about natural selection at all. And I mean, in one regard, I don't think we should. We are kind of the creators of our own destiny, but we're not that smart yet. George's like, yeah, everyone's grandpa died real fast. It was good. They stopped. They stopped. Yeah. No lockdown had no more cases and better economy now. Huh. I think I read something about that. Yeah. I don't know. All right, I gotta get on. Let's go. B&B. I know everybody wanted it. I know everyone here wanted to talk about B&B, so yeah, because B&B. Ah, B&B's garbage. Everything's garbage right now. Everything's garbage right now. All right, so B&B, same bottoming candle yesterday. We'll see if we get a reprieve to the selling here. The buying pressure stepped in here too, so we could be looking at an interim bottom. It may not be the ultimate bottom across the markets, not just in B&B, but nothing super great about B&B to be dealing with right now. XRP, choppy sideways down. Nothing, super good or bad about this. Let me kind of adjust my screen a little bit going forward. I want to give a little more credence to the bigger picture and a little less to this 2 hour, although it will be addressed. I want you to notice that most of these have some type of a inverted head and shoulders feel to them. I also want you to notice the right side of these charts where there's less volume generally. Yeah, Pedro Poker, there you go. All right, next up is Dogecoin. Dogecoin did undercut actually quite a few things. Not a lot of volume though on Dogecoin. Nothing majorly to buy here, I don't believe. Next up is Cardano. Cardano looks like we did stall a little bit to the downside the past couple of days. We do have some wicks and our closes are a little bit higher. If we close pretty good here, that could be a nice little kind of bottoming section. Oh, you did read it, Pedro? Yeah, I'm about almost halfway through it. Does she bring it all together towards the end? It seems a little bit fragmented right now. I'd like her to bring together and go through like a decision process. She's kind of just codifying her case right now, just to fill pages, I think. So Cardano, we did attempt a trendline break, so that's healthy. We came back down in lower volume, so things are looking good. This may be like a really decent low entry place, but again, are we going to rally through immediately? It's hard to tell on Cardano, but it's in a good place. I mean, this is kind of where we started rallying from, so we could try to come back. Volume on the downside isn't too bad. VA tool, the sellers never really took over too much. Solana. So Solana again yesterday with a nice bottoming candle. So we have some good bottoming candles kind of across the market. I think that is good. Matic. Similar situation, good bottoming candle. A little bit of chop down here, but nothing too crazy. If we can hold up and avoid another further sell-off, these could be good areas for some of these coins. Maybe if someone's thinking about buying, I don't know if I'd load up my portfolio down here. It's always hard to buy like this, but all these candles yesterday are pretty darn good. All right, next up is DOT. Same bottoming candle. We'll see if it holds. That's kind of all she wrote on that one. But yeah, once again, I mean, if you see some of these that are pretty low and you've wanted a position in these coins, or you think it's just a good, I got a weird stuff going on there, or you think it's just a good trade. Again, I wouldn't go full on risk right here, but there is some good signatures being printed. Tron, big sell off the other day, really fell apart. This one's been choppy to boot, really hard to do anything with, and remains so. Next up is Shiba Swap, fell apart as well. Volume not too bad. We could try to come back, but Shiba and Doge really not in vogue at the moment. Now, AVAX, a little bit different. AVAX, what we were talking about, was it AVAX yesterday? Or maybe it was Atom. All right. May have been Atom. A pretty decent candle yesterday. We closed at a good clip. We got a little bit higher, which was nice. Volume aggregation tool, not as aggressive, but still aggressive. Even on the sell-off, look at the VA tool. Just look at the colors, the histogram part of it. You've got a lot of green, not really a lot of red in here. So, and if you look at the declining volume, look at the declining volume. It's declining, so we don't have a lot of sellers. We will be, probably running this back at some point. A lot of these look like that. Uniswap looks a little bit more like a cascade than AVAX is pretty conservative with its selling at a decent pace. Uniswap, there seems to be a little bit more urgency to the selling in Uniswap. Not a big fan of it, although we are coming down towards the lows of its channel. And anytime you come down towards lows, you want to look for support, and you can start to look for bottom buys if you're into those coins. Atom down here. So this is the one that had some good volume the past couple of days. This one could be a little bit different. A lot of churn, but look, the bulls are getting the majority of it. So that's what you're liking to see in low situations like this. Here's another one with low volume as we go lower. Yeah, I was thinking of Atom, not AVAX. Here, look at the volume. Almost 3 low volume candles right there, although it did go the wrong way. So that kind of negated that setup, I guess. But you have these 2 high volume bottoming candles. Let's zoom out a little bit. Nothing crazy in terms of support down here, but yeah, hopefully we'll be able to. Little ways to go to that trend line if it's going to get there. So once again, looking okay. How much risk do you put on the table is a question you have to answer. What should your risk exposure be if you're going to do something? All right, Chainlink has been garbage for a while, remains garbage. And Litecoin is fairly recent garbage. Yeah, elevated volume, sell on the way down. Yesterday, we did not get a bottoming candle on Litecoin. That is interesting. No bottoming candle on Litecoin, and really rolled over dramatically. We're kind of hitting what could be support down here, but it's not ideal. Now, this is Binance. Look at another chart. This is a Coinbase chart. Still heavy volume, not as heavy, coming down to about the same price level. All right, USD. Oh, we got to wrap up. All right, let's wrap up the top 20 USD. I think the theme here is possible buying. The reason I say possible is because it's obviously not certain. There's nothing major certain about what's going on here. We do have some really good closes yesterday on a majority of the top 20 tokens. That I do like, but they're not seated in a really good foundational area. They're kind of in the middle of these spaces, and Bitcoin's a good example as any. You can look at this line here, which is the current closing price, and you're in the middle of all this. There's no support or resistance there. You got a little bit here, you got a couple of highs here and a couple of highs here, kind of a breakdown point there. So we're just kind of stuck in this middle ground where, is this where you want to buy? I think you could start to get interested, and I think you could probably take some preliminary positions. And the volume so far looking pretty good on this candle. 1 hour left in a 2-hour candle. That's a pretty good showing there. So I don't know. I think we've come down a good amount. We probably could have a little bit more downside in us. I'm hoping this inverted head and shoulders works out, and that would work across the board. Most of these top 20s we looked at, you're looking at them going, I could see a case for bottoming, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's all you get, and that's the other crazy part is sometimes that's all you get. Okay, USD pairs. I only had Kaspa, and I think Loopy mentioned Kaspa to us a couple of months ago. Kaspa's been pretty darn solid. Definitely had a downtrend or a couple of downtrends. Nice rally. Kind of took this is almost a double bottom. My alert now is at 13,502. Yeah, was you Loopy? Yeah. This was pretty good. Nice cup and handle there. Symmetrical triangle didn't work out, but oh yeah, that's a gooseneck pattern actually. Yeah, so this one's setting up pretty nicely again, right? You've got the green volume aggregation tool now. All this buying pressure, is leading us into what is now a bull flag, but I have to have my alert here because we're so close to the trend line, the 13502. So no alert on this. I can't alert on this. You have to get it on MEXC or some other platform. But it's been pretty good. All right, next up is ELF on BTC, and then we're out of here unless you guys had any other questions. Shout them out if I missed anything, please. And where's ELF? There's ELF. So I've been noticing ELF. ELF's been doing pretty darn good. I kind of forgot about it the past couple of days. Forgot it. Yeah, I missed this. I would have highlighted this, but I just missed it. That's a nice cup and handle. It really is, and I kind of botched it a little bit. Obviously, I didn't shout it out down there. Your more traditional buy point would be here, and we're right around that 5% level. You don't want to buy over 5% on a breakout. This would have been a much better buy. I'm not sure what's going on with ELF here, but this is looking pretty good. ARI USDT? Yeah, sure. Yeah, you did mention that. I kind of did forget about it. Sorry about that. I gotta change my timestamp here. Hold on. Tesla retest 110. Yeah, let's do some stocks. We can do stocks too. AIRI. Okay. We have time for stocks. Yeah. It is a shitcoin, isn't it? Pancake Swap, AIRI. Is it on Pancake Swap? Oh, Pancake. Okay. It is this one. Let's take a peek. What are you looking at this crap for? It's in a straight downtrend. What are you talking about? Come on, George. You mentioned shitcoin. I didn't think you were serious. Not this serious. What is there to like about? Is this the right one? This is Wrap BNB on BSC. What are you talking about? Well, yeah, that was then. Yeah, I don't know what sparked that. Things happen sometimes, but these are obviously good to catch here. Like on this on day one, here's when you wanted to get this one. Yeah, right there, I guess. That's when you wanted to get it. Yeah, it definitely could be a pump and dump. Absolutely could be. Yeah, someone just because it's been sitting in the doldrums for so long, just nice and flat. Yeah, probably couldn't go much lower, I guess. I guess there's a lot of other digits on the price. But what about it specifically? I mean, it's so here's the thing. It's completely out of favor. There's nothing good. There's nothing good about this. Zero. Zero. Not even a good short, probably. Probably is a good short. You got a nice doji topping candle right there, tying the highest volume of the run almost, a little bit underneath of it. And the other high volume candle you have up here with really big selling pressure, and the next one with really big selling pressure, and the next one with really big selling pressure, and this one is a doji with big volume. So this just screamed get out at the top here. And yeah, it did keep going up. What you do with these is you just draw a trend line, and then I guess pick your topping candle. Well, you have to catch it beforehand. That's the hard part. Is what do you do with this? You don't do anything with it now. It's probably going to go all the way back down. I mean, I guess if you can short it and make 72%, because it's going to go all the way back down there. It'll probably take a few weeks, but it'll get there. I mean, unless it has another surge, but like they're out of it. So you mentioned pump and dump. Yeah, Loopy mentioned pump and dump. There's your pump. There's a dump, and then they brought it back and they dumped some more, and they're just gone. Look at them. Like your daddy left for milk, as my kids are saying these days. Daddy left for milk. Daddy gone. They told me that. I'm like, hey, speaking of which, I gotta go get some milk. They go, no. Yeah, this is a piece of garbage. So, what you could, if you can do this, and I don't know a great way to do this. I have a tool in the Power Hour page that kind of does this, but it's only on Binance. Look for unusual volume. You can kind of get in on some of these early on if you look for unusual volume. That is a thing. But whatever you're looking at isn't a thing. All right, let's take a look at some stocks. And then I got to go. Okay, so Jay Powell came out and said something about he's going to probably have to raise interest rates more than people want. And let's just go on the daily chart. We don't need to look at the rest of it. I asked you about investment advice on Slack if you have about the stocks. I saw that. I didn't know what you did. You want me to comment on your portfolio, or I guess I didn't know what you wanted. I thought you were just kind of letting me know. And I mean, I don't know much about GNUS. I remember it. We can look at it a little. We can look at all of them here while we're doing this. What up, Dream Car? Did I say Jake Powell? Pretty sure I said Jerome Powell. Yeah, definitely not Jake Paul. Jerome Paul. It's Powell. It's Powell. So the Nasdaq topped out over here. Not a great close on Thursday. What is this? That's Friday. Why is that so low? Is there some holiday I wasn't aware of? Possible. So I mean, not a great situation. You got the S&P. What is that? Bollinger Bands? What is that? Oh, that's an additional. Okay, I know what that is now. So coming back down again, looks like we did break the trend line to the upside here. So that could be a concern. Coming back down here, yeah, if we're in for more rate hikes, then maybe it's our next leg down. Maybe it is our next shoe to drop. I wasn't thinking of it in those terms, but I really haven't looked at these charts yet either. But I don't like this chart. This is not nice. Nasdaq's not nice. It is technically kind of a bull flag, but just because it's above the trend line, we need it to settle out though. And I don't like this droopy look in the S&P. Oh my goodness, that is a risk off trade right there. That is a risk off trade right there. This is the Russell 2000. This is not bueno. This is not good at all. Much lower than this, and yeah, we could next leg down. This is not good. This is the worst chart of the day right here. Because small caps are, I mean, small caps, they're volatile. And so if they're ditching small caps, they don't want exposure. They really don't want exposure. Nasdaq Transportation, a big down day on the transports. That's not a good sign. We've talked about the transports and how they kind of lead the market. And how it'd be weird if they went to all-time highs, and I guess we're not doing that, which is not a huge issue. Apple choppy a little bit. They're not really selling too much of it. It's a good one. Microsoft, and not looking that great. Tesla, this whole week has not done very good. Not good at all. Straight down every day. Looks like block selling. A little bit of block selling going on here. Taking some profits after a really substantial run, basically doubling. And so taking some profits there is normal. And yeah, never quite get into that imaginary line that I drew. Yeah, I don't know, Mike. It'll be interesting. I don't know. It may go down too. Maybe we I don't know. Maybe we undercut. If we go underneath head level in Bitcoin, that's not good. We definitely don't want that. Amazon's been garbage and does not look good. Every time I look at Amazon, I liked it when it bounced off this 100 level here, but then it kind of gapped up, and ever since it failed to go up any higher there, this is not good action at all. Not good at all. I think you're maybe breaking some really long-term trend lines here. We've already broken a few. Yeah, that one's in danger. That's not a good one. The more long The more long a trend line is, the more important it is. And it's got some big ones that broke. So, yeah, look, someone mentioned earlier, I think it was Mike, about going up with less volume. Look at Amazon right here on the weekly. Look at this lack of volume. Big accumulation here on COVID, and then trying to go up again here. Just pitiful volume, and then a second attempt, double top, and we're done. We're still done. Not a good sign. Yeah, so I mean, if the market, talk about listening to markets earlier, these markets are not speaking good things. Square, not so good. Exxon Mobil, with gas prices going back up again, not doing super hot. We'll see what that's about. GLD, nice little pop on gold on Friday. Gold can be defensive, isn't always, as we discussed earlier. But talking about this range, we're almost dead in the middle of it. I guess we just came out of the middle of it. Silver up 2%. Probably on Jay Powell comments. My buddy Backblaze. I like this company, but their stock is doing garbage. AMD, kind of double topping here a little bit this week. Chips doing pretty good overall. Generally, though, NVIDIA holding up really well. I mean, this thing owns the artificial intelligence sector, and you can definitely argue that investment in AI is going to go up freaking tenfold thanks to ChatGPT this year. So much more investment into AI, and these NVIDIA chips will probably really start flying. But you can see they're having a hard time buying it in this risk environment, but they're not selling it off either. They're not buying as many shares as they probably would normally do. But there's just a lot. Like, you look at these other stocks, it's pretty clear NVIDIA's doing something different. I think that much is clear. ConocoPhillips doesn't look as good as Exxon. And then we talked about the dollar down here. Oddly enough, the dollar kind of going down a little bit while gold goes up. That's interesting. Euro stable. Pound stable, which is good. And then Boyd is and some of his other more speculative names down here. Then I have BTC because we always just look at BTC. Oh yeah, there's the futures for BTC. Yeah, sold off a bunch on Thursday, Friday. There's a symbol for ChatGPT to invest. I don't trust this. Probably just some stupid ETF. Let's take a look at those ones you mentioned, Aram. You want me to look at those? I mean, I would probably say wait and take a look at Planeter. I mean, yeah, this is not bullish. That was pretty good, but look at that immediate sell-off. Let's bring in the volume aggregation tool. So volume aggregation tool showing that buying pressure just stopped on a dime for Planeter. And I forget what this does. Isn't this like a... Yeah, look, you don't want this. Get this name out of your head, Aram. You can look at it once a week, okay? You can look at it once a week. That's it. I mean, look at it. It's just so far down. Maybe one day it'll be a buy again, but it's definitely not today by any stretch of the imagination. Genus. Oh, Genius. Oh, this is worse. Okay, so here's the thing, Aram, especially with stocks. Crypto is a little bit different because the crypto ecosystem is small, all right? It's really narrow. Stocks has about 5,000 things you can invest in, not including options and futures and all those other derivatives. But with crypto, you really don't. In terms of good assets, you probably have only a few dozen. And those things kind of cycle through time and time again, obviously with new things coming in all the time. In the stock market, what worked last cycle doesn't usually work in the next cycle. So all these ones that we were looking at and that we were trading and stuff like that, you have to start the list over again. Once it falls out of favor, like Planeter is a good example. Planeter was in favor, right? Obviously. Had a couple of good runs right there, but it was done. And once it was done, it's done. And it could come back again. I'm not saying they can never come back, but you usually this was 2021. This was 2 years ago. And it looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer. I do like the volume stepping in. Those buyers probably aren't going away. If you wanted to buy like in a low or something, but again, it's so hard to know when they're going to come back. It's so hard to know. You kind of have to find the next thing. You know what I mean? Like the next thing. Someone mentioned Tesla going to 110 earlier. I guess I can. That's kind of what sparked this. I guess I can address that a little bit. Um, Tesla right now is kind of in a little bit of a free fall. We'll probably get some bounces here and there. Um, it got support at 100, which is a big psychological number. And so it could bounce anywhere. It's hard to say 100, 110. It's really difficult to say, but it really could bounce around. Um, Tesla's obviously, I mean, and we talked about this when we were down here, like looking at the volume as we were down here, the volume getting so elevated. They were buying Tesla, which kind of sparked the run, but now it's over, and they're just going to wait again. With again, stocks and macroeconomics are very correlated, and when you look at the indexes like this too, it's really hard to believe that they are that they're going to run it substantially. So I think it's patience mode, it's stacking mode. If you want to sell some calls or something, we could do. Oh, I was going to talk about selling calls today, wasn't I? I mentioned that in one of the newsletter things. I don't. Maybe I'll go live tomorrow for those in the Power Hour. We'll talk about selling. If anyone's interested in that, I'll do it. If you're not, then I guess I won't bother. But yeah, we could talk about selling calls for those interested. Um, hit me up in the Slack channel, the Power Hour private, if you want to do that, and then we can do a live stream tomorrow about that if you guys want to. So, all right, but I got to go. I'm gonna wrap it up. Let's do wrap up, and then we're gonna bounce. So crypto, stock market not looking so hot. Cryptocurrency also not super hot, but we do have some small bottoming candles. Maybe not so small, a little bit bigger than small. Some good bottoming candles yesterday, kind of across the market. So good signs there. But that's all we have so far is just one good candle. And the action so far is okay. But again, we've been stuck in this market for about 9 months now, at least going sideways for about 9 months. And it'll probably continue for a little while longer. We're not going to go right back into a bull market, I don't think. But that's it. Yeah, that's about it. I think if you want some BTC, you could probably take some. If we shoot straight up from here, I would be shocked. Absolutely shocked if we shot straight up from here. So you want to do a live tomorrow, Aram? Yeah, more heavy on Tesla and TQQQ. I think those are, well, TQQQ is if the Nasdaq's rolling over. See, here's the thing with the TQQQ, Aram. You do have to time it. It can't really be a passive investment. Even technically, it can. You can just sit in the TQs, but it just moves so much. And so, if it's going to come back down here, it could come back down 20+%. You want to try to exit at a good opportunity. You know what I mean? So you do have to time it a little bit, just a little bit. So, all right, guys, I gotta go. Have a great day. I'll do a live show tomorrow for Power Hour members. Other than that, I'll see the rest of you some other time. Have a great day. Stay safe out there and protect that capital. See you later.